Sentence and discourse, right? So obviously, combination of sentences makes a discourse. So what is the relationship? Or let's know whether we are going to discuss anything of discourse or not. In syntax, a sentence is regarded at the largest or highest unit on the hierarchical scale of constituent. Obviously, from word, phrase, clause, we reach sentence and consider it highest rank in this hierarchical scale. It is the largest unit in syntactic description. Sentences do not normally occur in isolation. Obviously, sentences like word form sentences. Similarly, sentences form text, right? They usually form part of a larger text called discourse, which is also organized in a particular way. Obviously, sentences are organized as the constituent of sentence are organized in a certain order, in a certain sequence. Similarly, the sentences themselves are organized in such a way that create a meaningful whole for or a meaningful discourse. So the sentences of a text follow each other in some logical order, right? As the different constituent of the sentence are put it into a logical order, subject, verb, object, etc. Similarly, a text has a logical order and reflect a certain sequence of thoughts or events. There are often elements in a sentence which mark its relationship with the context. In discourse, we talk about ties, verbal ties, and other ties. Texts are structured and are more than just a random collection of sentences. So let's look at this text. It consists of 4 sentences, right? Let's see that whether it has a sequence in it or not. Soon after breakfast, Mary Ann brought in the Times. Mr. Carey shared it with 2 neighbors. He had it from 10 till 1. When the gardener took it over to Mr. Ellis at the Limes, with whom it remained till 7, then it was taken to Miss Brooks at the Manor House, who, since she got it late, had the advantage of keeping it. So let's see that what facts were there in the text. The order in which the 4 sentences occur is not accidental. It reflects the order in which the events described in the text occur. Secondly, the words it, he, and she relate to constituent in the previous sentences, sometime to Mary, sometime to Alice, etc. There is a link between 2 neighbors in the second sentences and Mr. Ellis and Miss Brooks in the 2 following sentences. The use of then at the beginning of the 4th sentence also indicate that there is a certain temporal sequence of events. So when we look at these facts, we know that the 4 sentences in the text were not random. They had link, they had certain order. There were certain words in them which connect or relate them with the previous sentences. The whole text were presented in a certain order, in a meaningful order. Anyone who reads it makes a picture of the event that took place at a certain place. So, like sentences, texts have internal structures. The structural organization of text is different from that of sentences. Obviously, a sentence has different constituent and a text has different constituents. The rules conditioning the organization of text are the rules of text grammar or discourse grammar, whereas the rules which determine the structure of the sentences make up sentence grammar or syntax. Obviously, these are 2 separate subdisciplines. The rules of text grammar often require an appeal to notions which are not syntactic. We shall only concern with the description of sentence. What we are going to discuss in the later topics we will remain we will keep ourselves concerned with only grammar, with only syntax, sentence, though we may occasionally cite some text to seek help to understand sentences. The analysis of longer stretches of discourse will generally be left to out of our discussion or considerations. We shall usually only pay attention to the structure of individual sentences in the text and not text. Occasionally, we shall go beyond text, and as I said, when it is necessary. The emphasis of this course is on formal structural properties of sentence rather than on pronunciation, their meanings, syntax, semantics, or their use in communication, right? It is a book that we are using on English syntax, not on phonology, semantics, or pragmatics. We use terms grammar or syntax, grammatical and syntactic, interchangeably. So whenever we use grammar, we mean syntax, and syntax we mean grammar, or syntactical and syntactic we use interchangeably. So these are the terms that we generally use. So for a better understanding, one should be familiar with these terms, and when we use one term, we mean the other. It is very important for our better understanding.